It is time. It is time to heed the cries of my people. You have brought me my tribute and call upon me to unleash the horrors once more. I am ready.
Hey guys, DragonSheep here. You all know the drill. I've been taking Wings of Fire Dragon's wiki descriptions too seriously for 5 magical years, and now we have come to the end. The last pair of tribes on my to defile list are Rainwings and Mudwings. Let's take a moment to remember how far we've come in drawing these bases.
And will try to not forget you.
Remembering time's over. Let's start with Rainwings. We could begin with the queen mentioned in the Nightwing guide. Let's see. Queen Dazzling is a quite large and fat Rainwing. That's all. See, this is what happens when you can't describe anyone by scale colors. You start judging dragons' bodies. Let's see if the protagonists give us more to work with. Kinkaju's scales are typically kept at bright colors, such as pink and yellow. She has a long neck, gigantic dark green eyes, tiny claws, and a diamond-shaped snout. She is small and is the same size as Anemone despite being slightly older than her. She's just a creature. No one would suspect her of any devious deeds. But can you recall the most famous Rainwing of all? Glory time! Glory has green eyes. She has soft wings, feathery ears, a long body, tail, neck, and a long, delicate snout. She is often considered very beautiful and elegant. She is usually seen with dark emerald green scales and flares of orange around her ears and the underside of her wings. This is because she likes them to match the rainforest she lives in. I guess Rainwings are just big fans of pyrotechnics if this is what makes you blend in. Moving on. Grandeur keeps her scales a pale lavender color, seemingly glittering with tiny dewdrops, and her ruff a pale orange. She doesn't sweat, she glistens. She is described as a stately older dragon with half-asleep eyes and a sour expression. Her bones creak like the ancient forests, and the silver cast of her scales make her look as if she is reflecting moonlight. Imagine seeing this in the forest at night. I can see the family resemblance in Glory. Tamarin's next. When not displaying any particular emotion, Tamarin is shown to have blue and gold scales. She has odd light blue eyes with a pale film on them, and several scars on her wings and neck, including one twisting across her underbelly. She is small and wore a garland of red, pink, and purple flowers on her shoulders. Why is this past tense? Is she dead? After the explosion, her scales were covered in bandages and she wore a poultice of damp leaves tied over her eyes. Man, she got double blinded. She has a limp and several scorch marks across her scales. It's like she collected all the injuries of the Dragonettes of Destiny at once. You just need some broken ribs to complete the look. Next up is Mangrove. When not displaying any particular emotion, Mangrove's scales usually appear to be a shade of dark purple. I think we have another suspect for the rainforest disappearances. I honestly thought we'd have more to go off of than a color, considering he's an important character. I'm gonna go back to background characters and see if we can get some specifics. Helicania. Winter described her scales as a rather hideous shade of pink. Well dang, I'm sorry your only in-book description got to be through Winter's racist eyeballs. I think your scales would be a very nice pink. Queen Splendor is described as a skeletal and drab gray Rainwing while she was imprisoned in the Nightwing dungeons. However, her lean figure may be due to the lack of nutrition while she was in the dungeons and her coloration a result of her reactions to the miserable condition she was in. Well, I choose to think that's just how she looks normally. Goth Rainwings for the win. Let's move on to Mudwings. I'm gonna go through Clay's family and see if there's any shared traits between them all. Marsh has brown scales and brown eyes and looks like Sora. Sora has brown scales and brown eyes and looks like Marsh. Let's just go to Clay. Clay is muscular, large, burly, and stocky, with a sloping back and white teeth. Are teeth not usually white? Clay's scales are a warm brown in the shades of rich mahogany and tree bark. Is mahogany tree bark? Along with undertones of glowing amber, clay, and gold glinting beneath and between his scales. He has enormous feet and thick brown claws, as well as massive wings and wide, warm brown eyes. His right thigh is scarred from a dragonbite viper laceration. That wasn't a laceration, that was a burnination. You know, cross-tribe hybrids becoming more common is probably a good thing. Our boy Clay's looking more inbred than a sandwich. Nice sloping back you got there. That's gonna win you some prizes at the Dragon Show and some hip problems later on. Let's see who's responsible for this. Cattail is thin, with brown scales and wings that have dapple patterns of paler brown scales on them. She has brown eyes like Clay's, with a ring of yellow around the black slit of a pupil. And her laughter is a high croaking sound like 1,000 bullfrogs yelling at once. Terrifying! Speaking of bullfrogs, Bullfrog is brawny and strong-looking. He has massive legs, big talons, round scales, thick wings, and a deep voice. I guess that's why they call him Bullfrog. No other reason. Let's get through some background characters, rapid fire. Sepia is big-shouldered. Yep. Crocodile was large with brown scales and wings. She had a horrible scar pulling down one corner of her mouth into a strange grimace. And finally, Moorhen is huge, as big as Marosier, and much taller than any of her 4 siblings. She has russet brown scales and has embedded gemstones on her ankles and head. Why her ankles? Was she dipped in the river Styx? Alright, I think that's it for this one. The series is all finished up. Nothing more to say. Nothing more to do. Oh, who am I kidding? I can drag this out as long as I want. Who cares if I'm out of tribes? I can do hybrids, magical items, places, pets, weapons,